First of all, you don't know me.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, drama girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.
Hey guys, welcome back. Oh my gosh, it's season 5. It's the premiere of season 5. 4 years later, everything's different.
Mm-hmm. Understatement of the year.
I know, like I wish we had had a lot more internet back then because it would have been really fun to see. I know there were message boards, but it would have been fun to see like Twitter, for example, or Instagram, you know, and there's just to really feel the crowd reaction. Because back then we were like, we're going to try this thing. I hope it works. Right. And, you know, we sort of guessed that people liked it. But I bet there were a lot of fans out there who were calling each other and writing, I don't know, what do people do back then? Message boards, I guess.
Well, because there's so many misdirects. It was an episode of just like, nope, you didn't guess that right. Try again, kids.
They did it so well. This was one of those where you go, ooh. You know, they had all summer to think about how they were going to do this. They didn't have to turn over an episode in a week. Mm-hmm. They had a whole hiatus and they really got in there with every little detail. And it's so fun now knowing everything we know to see this and realize that they left so many unanswered questions, you know, not only until the end of the episode, but even still, the audience still doesn't know who Victoria is.
I know. I was surprised at that. I thought for sure that was coming out at the end of the episode. Like, okay, mother, or something.
It's so cool.
No, we're talking about season 5, episode 1, 4 years, 6 months, 2 days. I guess I didn't realize this aired in January. Normally our show would air in the fall, like September.
Oh,
yeah.
Right? And so this was a later premiere. It gave us more time to, I guess, work on this new approach. But yeah, that's strange.
Wait, did this have to do with the writer's strike?
Oh, there was a writer's strike. It happened in this season.
Yes.
I bet you're right.
So remember, because they were scrambling to turn in episodes ahead of the strike hitting so that we could keep filming when other people were going to have to halt. But I think because of, there was a gap at some point. I do remember we had like a couple of weeks off before the strike ended. We'd run out of episodes. And so I think they might have held the premiere until the winter so that there wouldn't be a gap once we started airing. It's fuzzy, but I do remember the strike being part of this.
Yeah, me too.
I remember the strike in the library episode because there was a suggested line change that I didn't want to do. And I was like, no one can tell me to do anything different. Because for you guys at home, we're actually dealing with a writer's strike right now in our industry. But let's explain like what a writer's strike means to anybody who's not in our business.
Well, the writers, just so y'all know, when you see that there's a writer on an episode, you know, there is a creator and a showrunner of a show. So the person who has the idea and who writes the pilot script and who essentially comes up with the whole world that your show's going to take place in. Sometimes, if those are young writers who have a great idea, they hire another showrunner who's more experienced to help them learn and make sure the show runs smoothly. But then they build a whole writer's room. So there's a full staff of writers and there are writers' assistants. And the room breaks story together. They come up with ideas. They board, you know, half a season or a season at a time, and they start to figure out where all of these storylines are going to go. And then there's usually a writer or a pair of writers who get assigned to break away and do the first draft of the script, which has been outlined by everyone, while everyone continues to move on with the rest of the season's work. So it's this really cool kind of cyclical space where they're juggling all the ideas. And, you know, they really help us craft these universes. We can't do it without them. And I'm sure, you know, this will be lost on no one. You're all on the internet. You see that the studios are making record-breaking profits every year for like 5 years running. And the writers are getting paid less and less. Their time in the room, which means the weeks that they have a salary, is getting shortened. A lot of writers who are showrunners are being told they have to write their shows with skeleton teams, meaning they get like 3 or 4 writers in support instead of 12 to 15.
Yeah.
It's unsustainable and it's unfair. And, you know, I want everybody to do well and make money, but if executives are making $200 million bonuses at the end of the year and writers can't afford to pay their rent, we have a problem. So we would love to be working, but we would love for our writers to get treated fairly more. So strike, baby, strike.
Yeah, man. I mean, anytime the industry makes like a big shift, if you guys have been watching our show since it's been on the air, it went from just airing once a week to there was TiVo and you could record it. And then it was on SoapNet. So we got residuals. But when new technology happens, like when Netflix happens or streaming or any of these new platforms happen, our unions have to catch up with how we can get paid for the work that we've already done. And so I love that we've got, you know, unions to go and fight for us to do that. So we love to support that.
Well, and I think it's important too to remind people, you know, it was such an interesting moment. I responded to somebody on Twitter years ago about this and I went, oh, we do need to talk about how we all work. Like in all the industries, we need to kind of take the mystery out. You guys remember when Ellen Pompeo signed her huge deal for Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah.
And she was like on the cover of every magazine and they were like, she's going to make $20 million a year. And like, that's crazy. You guys, 99% of people with SAG cards have second jobs because it's hard to make a living as an actor.
Yeah.
And there were some people who were really mad about it. And I saw something somebody said and I just responded and said, look, like, not to be angsty, but all that this means is that she's participating in the profits she's creating. And that show is worth billions of dollars a year to ABC. So if you think about it, she's actually not even making that much money. Like she's just getting some percentage of what she's helped to create. But the interesting thing is you start to realize like this stuff is really valuable. And it's just like, you know, if you go work at a startup and you get stock, you participate if that company becomes Google, and you should, because you helped build it.
Shows like One Tree Hill or Dawson's Creek or Grey's Anatomy, which started before streaming.
Yeah.
Our contracts were all negotiated based on the idea of residuals and, you know, that we would be sharing in the profits that we are participating in creating based on things that re-air on TV.
If it works.
Except now there aren't residuals because it's all streaming. So we're not, it's not being reshown on, most shows are not being reshown on network TV. Most people don't even watch network TV anymore. It's all digital. So it has been confusing. And when you look at at the Ellen Pompeo deal, it sounds crazy, but it based on what they're making on streaming now. And because she can't negotiate a contract on residuals, it's just a whole new format.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, Joy, what it means for our friends at home is this idea of residuals again is if you sell our work,
well, you're making an investment.
We should get something out of it. The collective. And by the way, the studios always make the most and the showrunner always makes the most. But, you know, it's supposed to be something. Like I've gotten residual checks for $6.
Oh, girl, that 83-cent check.
You're like, just wait till it's over $1 because you're wasting the stamp.
Yeah, please. Direct deposit.
The trick of streaming is that shows will go and get sold as a package for a lot of money. And everyone who made that show, except for like maybe the big boss, doesn't get any of it. And it's weird to think that like your work, your time, and your face is being bought and sold and you have no say or...
Well, if that isn't Brooke Davis's storyline.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know.
Joy, give us the synopsis of this episode, because I do like that we're talking about the business side of things, because that's what was happening in real life. There was so much crossover between real life and our characters' stories as this season began.
For sure.
We all kind of felt preyed upon. A very meta episode. What happened, Joy?
Definitely. 4 years after the season 4 finale, Tree Hill is it's the same, but we are all in a new place. Lucas is a struggling writer who's about to embark on a new coaching career with skills. Peyton is at the beginning of a budding music venture, or at the end of
who knows?
Something. While Brooke's fashion line is at a crossroads. Meanwhile, Nathan and Haley are young parents trying to find their way. I don't know that this synopsis is entirely accurate. It feels like it's missing a lot.
It's part of the misdirects.
It's part of the mislead.
I feel like whoever wrote this synopsis had like 3 glasses of wine and was like, I don't know.
Yeah. And Nathan and Haley are like struggling. It's tough, guys. It's tough.
It's bad. All Nathan does is make messes for Haley to clean up. I would be done. Done. Joy, what was going on in your real life at this point? And were there any parallels between like you and what Haley was experiencing?
Yeah. I mean, I was really unhappy. I was married, but in a situation that I just did not, it wasn't good. I mean, anybody who gets divorced, there's always a reason. So it wasn't a good situation. And I had a lot of anger and frustration that I didn't really have a place to put it. And so in a way, this storyline was really cathartic for me because I had a safe space to be sad and angry and not get judged for it. So, I was really kind of grateful that I ended up having this emotional time. And it was fun as an actor too. You know, as much as it was cathartic, it was also like, wow, I get to dig my teeth into something.
I mean, yeah, when you would cut eyes at Nathan, just be like, not today, motherfucker. Like,
yeah,
it felt real. It felt
you were drawing from a deep well.
Yeah, I was indeed. With I don't know why I cut my hair, but
the haircut was great. And I love any hair rebellion that the three of us staged on our show.
Yeah, that's true. We had a lot of hair rebellion.
Oh man, I got so many notes about my hair at the beginning of season 5. They're like, it's fucking disgusting, Hilarie, with your two-tone hair.
Oh my God, I loved this hair.
The stark contrast in the hair, they totally flipped out over. But back to Haley. I love that the narrative of keeping up appearances is part of her story because that is something that we were having to do in our real life is just keep up appearances. And Haley is putting a lot of energy into that.
I will say too, I liked the contrast that you chose with that haircut because at the end of season 4, like we're little kids. We're embarking on the world. You had this long, like fairy tale hair and we come back and there's something serious about you. Time has passed. Yeah. She's a young professional. You know, you're about to embark on having your own classroom. And I loved that I went, oh yeah, I would buy that. That's my teacher.
Sure.
Like she might be the new teacher, the young teacher, but look at that like sassy professional woman, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Very practical.
It felt cool. I think it would be harder to have a teacher with like a gorgeous mermaid blowout. I'd be like, where did you come from? But this little bob is like, it's chic lady, you know?
And I love that Jamie's in the classroom with you. Like, I've taken my kids every single job I've ever done, whether it's working at the candy store or on set or whatever. And I remember going to my dad's office as a kid, like going to work with your parent builds such a strong bond. And I like that we're seeing Haley include him as we're getting to meet this little rascal. Let's talk about the rascal.
Jamie. What a cute little face. They had plenty of shots of just straight on of his cute little face. It was great. He was such a sweetheart. He was really smart and really intuitive and, good at paying attention and taking direction. And was just like a sweet kid. He wasn't a brat at all, which I think was part of the casting process. Like, didn't they intentionally meet the kid's family or something? I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was something about like, if this kid's going to be a part of the show for another however long we run, we have to make sure that we're not hiring a little brat. So there was some sort of process involved in that, but I got it right.
Well, do you remember the table read? Because we never did table reads. We just never had the time.
We never made the time.
If we had one at the beginning of the season, that was a big deal. And we definitely had one for this. Because I remember Jackson, who plays Jamie, sitting at the end of the table and everybody's attention was just on this kid.
Yeah.
And it was almost like kind of vying for his attention. Like when there's a puppy and you're all calling it by different names to see who it goes to. We're like, hi, fella.
Hey, buddy.
It was just so sweet. And it was sweet to have an embodiment of this new time in our show in Jackson, because we'd only had our summer hiatus, which, you know, by this point we're doing 24 episodes a season. It was like a blip. It was so quick. And to come back and be figuring out, you know, who are these people and how have they changed and how have they grown? And there was so much, to, you know, you said it, Hilarie, it felt really meta. Everything each one of us as women was doing on screen really reflected what was happening in our personal lives. And to have this little boy who we got to teach and who really made the show feel different, because we'd never had a kid around before.
Yeah.
It was a very cool thing that not only he was as a character, but that he represented physically being in the space.
I also like that he understood that less is more. I mean, he's not even acting. He is looking at you and really looking at you and saying his words and meaning them. And there are a lot of child actors who will overdo it and kind of do like the vaudeville version.
The Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. And he's just earnest. He's so earnest in his delivery of what can be very scathing observations. Like when he tells Lucas, like, you need to get back to work on your book, you know? And Nathan, he's like, I think you drink too much, is my favorite line of the whole episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got it. It was weird having a kid around, though.
Oh, we started a curse jar, didn't we? There was like a curse jar on set.
And we'd all kind of gotten salty.
For Jackson's college fund.
Jackson's college fund. That's right. I wonder if he ever actually got that cash.
I can't remember when it happened, but like at first you had to put $1 in the curse jar. And then it got to a point where it didn't seem to matter enough. And then it was $5. And then they hit a point. I won't totally drag the boys. I shan't say who, but with one of the boys, they were like, your fee is $20. Stop it.
Stop. I don't think I ever participated in the jar because everyone has low expectations for me and children.
Yeah.
But I remember Paul like just wrote like $100 check or something. Like Paul made a large donation one day.
Such a Paul move.
Up front.
Yeah, and was just like, put it on my tab. Like,
I love it.
sorry, kid, you came into a grown-up world. It's weird as a parent seeing this little face now because when we shot it, I was like, oh yeah, it's a kid working, no big deal. But Jackson is like the age of like my daughter. You know, I want to say he was like 6 or 7 playing 4.
Yeah. That's right.
George is 5, but like approximately the same size. And I'm looking at this little face and I'm like, I can't imagine taking my daughter to work in a million years.
Yeah.
It's such I don't know. It's such a weird deal.
Yeah.
I guess it's just such a specific, I don't know if calling is the right word because you're 6. How do you know? It's just sort of like an interest, I guess. Like if a kid that has a hobby and they're in the right place at the right time and the parent has time and is willing to participate in this hobby, okay, you know, why not? And there's so many rules and that to protect the kids and the union, you know, for learning and all that kind of stuff that it worked out pretty well.
I mean, you know, him having a teacher on set and these shortened hours where you're allowed to work. So sometimes, you know, for our friends at home, you're getting all the business end today. Sometimes we'd run out of time with Jackson and they'd have to put a C-stand with a tennis ball like in the corner and we'd have to act to it.
Remember the stand-in that would be on their knees? And we'd have to act with the stand-in on their knees?
Oh my God. I wonder if anybody ever took a photo of that. There has to be someone taking a photo of that out there somewhere.
There is.
I hope so.
Oh, that's so good.
But yeah, you know, it's a wild thing. And I think as an adult, it really kind of hit me, you know, what Brooke is saying about her work in this episode is, look, the work isn't enough. You act like my life is fancy and all these things, but it's all work. It's all an illusion. Like, yeah, I'm going to Italy, but it's to work. I'm going to get off a plane and go into an office and then get back on a plane. Yeah, I'm going to a premiere, but I'm not even seeing the movie. I'm doing the thing and giving the interview and then leaving and taking meetings. And I liked that there was a way to represent the sort of harsh reality of what can look shiny out in public with her, because I know we had all begun to feel that. And especially for me, I was really struggling with having to leave my whole life and just pick up and move. And some people enjoy it. And, just personally for me, like leaving my parents and my best friends and missing babies and weddings and things, I really have a hard time.
Yeah.
And I remember that feeling of Jackson coming to work, what you're saying, Hilarie, like, how does a kid go? And meeting his mom and his other siblings, and they had all moved as a family unit. And I just thought, like, oh God, maybe that'll make it easier for him. Like maybe that'll help him. Maybe it won't be so weird because his whole family gets to be here.
Yeah.
And it's such a gift, and it's hard. It's all the things. And I just remember how concerned we all were with this little person being in this environment and thinking, like, how do we help make sure it's good for him? Because we now know the parts of it that are really tricky and the parts of it that are really such a privilege. And I remember that being such a concern. And I thought that it was so special that all of us had that vibe, and it turned very quickly into, like, how are we going to protect the little guy?
Protect the child.
Protect the child.
Joy, had you like babysat much? Had you spent much time with kids that you like weren't related to?
No, I didn't. I mean, I like kids. Like, I just never, I babysat a little in high school, but no, I was just always, I think other than high school babysitting, I was living in New York. I was working on a soap. I was busy. I was, and I didn't have, friends my age, and at that time they didn't have kids. So, and my family was, none of my cousins had kids. My family was pretty spread out. So no, I didn't. Did you?
Oh yeah.
Like,
I was like the babysitting, and I have 3 younger siblings. So I've like been around kids my whole life.
Yeah.
But if that's like one of the first times that you're interacting, and now you have to have an immediate bond with this child.
It wasn't hard because the kids just respond to being treated like a human, like with respect, and listen to you, and I guess because of my imagination, and my wonder and enjoyment of childlike wonder, it was easy for me to get down on his level and tell me, I want to hear all about it. And I think that's also being an actor. We empathize. So it's like, if I'm talking to an adult, I know how to interact. I can relate that way. But with a kid, they're looking at the world a different way. And so I want to get into their world and see things the way they see them. So it was easy with Jackson. And he was also very mature for
He really
6 years old, I guess. Yeah. So I don't know. I just think with kids, you just sort of talk to them like a grown up, except for when they can't understand grown up stuff. And, sometimes they need to feel a little like, ooh, things are exciting.
Well, remember like all the Santa conversation? Like we all had to like code everything, you guys.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know, like, what does he think? What is he like? It's somebody else's kid. You don't know what level he's on with like tooth fairies and Easter bunnies and things.
You know what? It was so fun. Like, there was also, to your point, he infused wonder into the space. Yeah. And I mean, for me, similarly to you, Hill, I didn't have younger siblings or anything, but I babysat all the kids in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. There were 2 little boys right at the end of my street who I watched, like, it felt like every day after school. It was probably a couple days a week. They were just like my whole little universe. I was a camp counselor every summer. And now we had this kid on set, and it was like so exciting. I remember there was a time, it might not have been season 5, maybe it was in season 6. I don't know. It's a blur because I just think of Jackson being little. But like I remember we heard there was a sale at Best Buy, and like me and Lee and James went and got Wii's.
Oh, I remember the big Wii thing.
Oh, yes. That's right.
So whoever was watching Jackson, we could everybody could either come over or we would all have the same games. And then it turned into like tennis tournaments with him. And
that's
it
so
was
great.
And I never had a video game console as an adult, but suddenly we had a kid on set. And so we all turned into kids.
Same. I got the Wii. I was down, and it was purely for that child. It was just like, I'm never going to play this by myself, but we might have a 6-year-old over. You guys, we have a guest with us today who was a part of this big 5-year jump and was actually with us before the jump, but was living kind of the same weird mix of fact and fiction. You've heard us talk about her a lot. We know her as Lassiter. Is it Stone now? Oh, no, Stone's her maiden name.
Lassiter Stone? No, Lassiter Wall was her maiden name.
Lassiter Wall. She's Lassiter Stone now, which is an even sexier name.
Wow. I mean, yes.
Yeah. So let's bring Lassiter in here because she lived with us. This was the girl that put up with us at 4:00 in the morning and also made sure we got into bed.
Lassiter was our camp counselor, you guys.
Yeah, no kidding. Lassiter!
Oh my gosh!
Exactly the same.
The same.
Hi!
Hi.
My glasses. I was multitasking and working while I was waiting. Hi, guys.
What's up? Oh my gosh, it's great to see you.
Oh, y'all, how fun.
Y'all, Lassiter is the tallest, blondest Southern queen, and we were so lucky to have her with us on set. Lassiter, you explained to everybody about what your job was on One Tree Hill.
Happy to do it, Hilarie. Here we go. Let me really get into it here. No, I'm glad you asked. So I started as a PA, a set PA, which is production assistant. You work in the AD department, assistant director. And you do it all, right? How self-deprecating should I get?
I know, it's such an understatement.
It's a job where like anything that somebody asks you for, your answer is yes. And then you just figure out how to get it.
100%.
Or do it.
Y'all cracking me up in these episodes talking about, Soph with the stories about talking to the people who own the houses, like when we're on location and having to go be like, hey, turn off that leaf blower or change off.
Please help us, please.
Oh my gosh. I would go out and stop traffic. Stop. Why would they listen to me? I had a walkie-talkie and like a fanny pack and a bunch of Sharpies.
They sent you because you were so tall and so blonde and so tan, and you're like a vision. Anywhere that you went, it was like people just stopped and stared. So of course they sent you to stop traffic.
Yeah, because you kind of scramble people's brains. You're very tall and authoritative, so you're intimidating, but also you're gorgeous. So they want to be your friend, and they're just like, ah!
You're so friendly. It's like, what do I do with this?
Please stop walking through the shot. We're filming. Please. I had no authority whatsoever. So PA stuff, when you start out, you're kind of just you're keeping stuff moving. You're helping every department. You're the liaison between the director and the crew, and the cast. And then on One Tree Hill, when you're working episodic, you kind of work your way up. So that first year, so I started season 2.
Wow.
Very first episode of season 2, I'd never heard of the show. We didn't have the CW in Richmond.
Oh, God.
I had no clue.
You didn't have the whole channel. You're just like, we don't want this.
I knew so many people back then that didn't have the CW. They were like, oh, yeah.
Y'all, my aunt, I think we had the WB maybe, but they weren't running the show during prime time at all. My aunt Elsie used to tape it with a VHS at 1 a.m. It ran at 1 a.m. in Richmond.
What?
She would tape it for me and to show my mom and like my brothers and cousins, like see what Lassiter was working on.
Or sometimes see Lassiter. We loved seeing you in the elevator of the hospital one episode.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I have a confession. I can see myself getting red. I have a little confession. I had never watched the show.
Good.
That's so we haven't really either.
okay.
I mean, so you're in good
Well-
company. This is our first way through it.
So honestly, I'd never seen a full episode. And when Hill like DM'd me about the shout out in the podcast about the elevator, I went back and watched it and I was like, oh my God. Not only is it fully me, but like I'm wearing like a ratty t-shirt.
Listen, everybody has to go to the hospital.
I'm in the background of a lot of episodes, mostly holding my ear like this, trying to hide my earpiece.
Your
being
earpiece.
like, walk, go, countercross, for the background. But yeah, I mean, a PA does a lot of stuff. I started at the bottom, coming in a couple days a week on season 2. And then by season 3, I got assigned to base camp.
Yeah.
Which is, back with you guys. That was one of my most fun seasons.
You were the best in base camp because Alex Ostape would get mad at us anytime we asked for stuff, right? But I love Alex so much.
I love Alex.
Yeah. No, I mean, it takes a lot to be a base camp PA because you're dealing with not only the crew and what's happening on set, but with all the actors who are a nightmare.
Oh,
And
well, yeah.
Lassiter, you just were such a good sport and like in a good mood all the time. So it forced all of us to be like, okay, fine. We'll behave.
Well, you guys were so sweet. I mean, my friends used to ask me questions. Season 3 was really fun for me to be back there with you guys. And not only you guys, but, JoJo.
Yeah.
And,
JoJo's come on.
I heard it. Don't you worry. And Hilarie, dang, if you didn't talk about that Serpentarian story.
Oh my God, Lassiter.
Oh, yeah.
Lassiter was at the Serpentarium when there was a snake attack.
You know that I'm
Oh,
still
my
terrified.
gosh.
Yeah.
Like terrified.
Mhm.
You guys are so funny. Yeah, JoJo. I mean, that was just really fun to like just be back there with you guys. And you all were so gracious and just really sweet. There was never, my friends used to say like, what's it like? Like, are they, how is everybody? How's the cast? I'm like, they're awesome. They're our age. They're fun. We all hang out and they're really sweet. Like they're going through the same things we are. So I feel like season 3 was really a nice, I don't know. That was a nice year.
It was really fun.
It's a stressful job. It was a really stressful job.
There's so much you have to manage because, again, friends at home, like when Lassiter talks about running base camp, she's running the schedules for every single person and every single chair. So hair, makeup, special effects, getting everyone timed in exactly right. So the chairs are never empty and everyone's ready on time. And people go back to change when somebody else is getting makeup done and she's making sure, it's a huge machine.
Yeah.
And you managed to make it so fun. I will never forget the day. I don't know if you remember this, but I obviously will never forget it. When I came back to base camp, because you guys would always, like some days I'd come back from set and it would like make me want to cry because it was so sweet. You got like you and one other person or you and JoJo would be out waiting on us to, finish a scene and you'd have Patch and Penny out on like a tennis ball and the dogs would be running around. And I was just like, oh my God, they're really nice to us and they like my dogs. And
Oh, of course. I forgot about the dogs. Yes.
the sweet babes. And there was one day where I came back and we had just been, it was like a slap happy day. And I opened my trailer door and Patch wasn't in there. And I went into hair because JoJo would take him in the trailer. And you guys were all in there just like slamming coffees. And Kelly Jefferson had drawn eyebrows on Patch, like with full makeup.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's
JoJo
right.
had put him in a blonde wig. And the three of you just looked at me like, is she going to think this is funny or is she going to be mad? And
my gosh.
died. Like I was laughing so hard I couldn't breathe. And it's like that stuff that I remember almost more than anything.
Patch. I forgot about Patch. I'm not going to lie until you just said that. Yes, Patch. You all were, it was so fun. We had a good time. And I was always, I took my job very seriously as a PA. I feel like Hilarie knows we had a very serious department.
You all lived at my house. Like,
I know.
you were like a block away for a while. I was like on 3rd Street. You were on 4th Street.
Yeah, fourth and none.
But the PA has to take their job seriously. The whole AD department, I mean, production will fall apart if the AD department's not on
I'm
it.
glad you said that, Joy. Like it really is, it was a big deal. And at first I didn't quite understand. And, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm running, I was a film major in college. I knew I wanted to go into production and, do something like this. And I'm from Richmond. So I always knew about Screen Gem Studios in Wilmington. And, I got the job again, had never heard of the show because it was only the first season.
Did you get it right out of college?
So I went to University of Alabama, Hilarie, where I first met you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Alabama Homecoming, MTV.
Oh, my God. MTV, you and Lala.
Just killing it. Yeah.
Hilarie and I were like destined to be connected somehow. It's so bizarre. My first internship as a film student at Alabama was for MTV.
Yeah.
And Hilarie came to Tuscaloosa and I was like the PA.
That trip was wild. Outkast performed. It was awesome.
Yes. And I feel like I gave you a tour of the Kappa House.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So then I moved to Telluride, Colorado, where I was working in a snowboard shop and like bartending and just
I remember that about you. Yeah.
Your Coyote Ugly summer.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Woo. If only I could sing and dance like a non-6 foot, terribly awkward person.
I've got a lot of photos from all of us doing karaoke downtown, Lassiter. I've heard you sing.
You have not.
Maybe it's a scream sing, but it works.
Sophia, I have some good photos of us in like some really, really questionable jeans.
Oh, no.
Our jean game was so strong.
God, the early 2000s were brutal on denim.
Oh, my God.
Lassiter, the three of us have talked so much about how in that era, the whole top half of our pants was missing. Just missing.
I know. Okay. All right.
I need them. No, you go back to the work stuff. Oh, my God.
So I was managing a snowboard shop, Alternative Edge, in Telluride. So cool. And I literally had like a sort of a moment where I was like, I'm not doing anything with my degree. I need to figure this out. I had sort of like a, not a panic attack, but like, okay, I need to get a real job. And so I cold emailed David Brightbill.
Stop. So for you guys at home, he was our second AD. And that's the person in charge of kind of hiring PAs and doing all the scheduling on our show.
So I emailed and I said, hi, my name's Lassiter. I have this internship one time. I didn't know if there was anything filming. All it was like a production office email. And I said, I don't even know what job you would hire me for, but entry level.
Yeah.
Bottom.
Yeah.
He emailed me back the next day and said, we're looking for PAs for a new show. Can you get to Wilmington in 3 days?
Stop it.
So I was ready to go. Like I had already figured out that I was going to move back from Telluride. It had been about a year. I just wanted to do like a year, like a fun year out west. And then, so I came home. My mom drove me to Wilmington, didn't have a house yet, went in for the interview, wore like suit pants and heels.
Cute.
So I was
so cute.
Probably 6'3". I don't know if you guys remember like the couch in the AD office.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
low to the ground.
It's so low.
So I come in, everyone's wearing like fanny packs and running shoes.
Cargo
and I'm, like,
shorts.
And like a suit and tie, basically. Hi, I'm here for the interview. And I remember like going to sit down on the couch and my heels were so high that like my whole body like creaked. And I was like getting down, like, he was basically like, do you know how to take coffee orders? And I was like, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So the next day I got the job and I had to find a place to live. And that was it. I mean, it all happened in like a week.
That's crazy. But so many people ask us, how can I get involved in the film industry? How can I like get my foot in the door? And that boldness of making the cold call or just sending the email and not knowing exactly what the job is, but being like, I'm here to help in any capacity. That is the way to get into the business.
Yeah.
People want to know that you're flexible.
And they have to know that they can trust you to be assertive and just take matters into your own hands, because a huge part of the creative flow is being able to trust that all the people around you are doing their job and that they don't have to have their hand held through everything. Like I can trust that somebody else is taking care of A, B, or C in their department. It's huge. And so even just the fact that you, did that cold call and came in, you're ready. And it makes a big difference.
I didn't know a soul. I moved there and just started working. And I really didn't have any, I didn't have any friends. And Hilarie, I don't know if you remember this. I was mortified. So I didn't know what show it was, and I didn't know who was on it. And I went in for my first day and I saw Hilarie and I was like, oh my God, she's like, we did that thing at MTV. Like, is she going to think I'm like following her?
Yes.
That's funny.
Lassiter's playing the long game.
Yeah. So then it gets worse. I find a house and I start working. And 2 days after I'd been on set, I go for a jog and I pass Hilarie in her front yard.
I remember you jogging by the house.
Gardening. And I was like, oh my God, she's going to think I'm a stalker.
Oh no, it's the worst.
But y'all know how small that downtown is.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it became so convenient because like the AD department, they don't get to stop work at the end of the day. There's another like 2 or 3 hours of planning for the next day. And so either we hung out at the production office and then caravaned home together, or we just did it at my house on the front porch with beers.
Oh my God, we had so many post-production meetings at your house.
Yeah. It was great. It was great. But so when was the last season that you were there? How long did you end up staying?
So I was there from season 2 to about, I think it was the end of season 5 / beginning of season 6. So I left during the writer's strike of 2007. You guys remember that?
Yes, that's what we were just talking about that at the beginning of this episode. Because this season ended up airing much later in the year because of the writer's strike.
Yeah.
I was trying to do my homework and I went and looked at some dates and, watched the episode, which is so good.
Oh,
I
yes.
have so many memories. But I left during the writer's strike. We all got laid off kind of. And, I went home to Richmond, which is only a couple hours, and ended up actually meeting my now husband during that downtime. We were doing long distance, and the writer's strike kind of helped me decide whether or not I wanted to go full force AD, like to become a first AD, which is what my goal was for a really, really long time. Or, maybe take a step back and reevaluate. And ultimately it was a really good decision for me because, so again, for those of you who are interested in this, production world, you work your days as a PA, you get to a certain, level, you move up, and then the next step is to become an AD and join the DGA. And I got to that level. I got my days, I had my little book. And I got some really good advice from just some people, that we all know from One Tree Hill. Hey, go talk to some female first ADs.
Well, that's what I want to talk to you about. Because, this whole beginning of season 5 is all about the women. I mean, the boys too, but like we're all like on these career paths and some of them are working and some of them aren't. And Lassiter, you were the best at your job. Like of everyone, you were the best at it. And it makes me sad that it was an inhospitable environment for you to achieve what you originally thought you wanted to.
Yeah. It's funny. In my attic right now, there's still a box of paper call sheets.
Girl! Because you're going to come back and like resubmit when the kids are grown up. You're like,
oh my God.
I could first.
Remember, I have 500 days on One Tree Hill from 2002. No, but it's true. And I'm glad you brought that up because I think there are a lot of things in this episode that were so interesting. To close that loop, I got some advice from female first ADs, and the first thing they said, and I mean, y'all know we were what, 20?
We're maybe 23 at this point, 24?
23, 24.
You and I are about the same age.
Yeah.
They said, the first thing they said was, do you want to get married? And I was like, well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, you probably can if you're going to be a first AD. I mean, this was, 15 years ago. It was really hard for women to get this role. But yeah, I just I took a step back. I don't know. It was tough. I got some advice saying, like, if you want kids and if you want a family, I don't know if this is the right move for you at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, crap. What have I been doing for 4 years?
Well, you were learning, you were growing, you were figuring out who you are, and that's absolutely valuable. But it is an all-consuming, very demanding job.
Yeah.
But it was fun. In early 20s, it was really fun. We weren't allowed to sit down. We had to go.
That's right.
Yes.
Right.
There was a rule. It's not a rule on every set, and I didn't know that.
That's still a thing? Like,
no.
I didn't know that's not a rule on every set.
It's not a rule on every set.
Really?
No. PAs on other jobs are allowed to sit down, but PAs on One Tree Hill were never allowed to sit down. It is not allowed.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
I mean, my calves were killer, but like.
So you obviously, you have a beautiful family now, but what was the pivot?
Really?
Like, how did you take the skills that you learned as a PA and apply them to a totally different career path?
So, Joy said a really nice thing a little while ago, just about being able to, adapt and pivot and, handle situations. So I speak at a lot of career days, like at my old high school and my kids' schools now. I just did career day last week. And I talk about how the things I learned on One Tree Hill have translated perfectly into what I'm doing now, which is advertising, which is it's kind of a weird turn.
That's so cool. How so?
So when I first moved back to Richmond, I got a job in post-production at an audio editing, like a recording studio in Richmond.
Oh, cool.
And Joy, I'll never forget. I have to tell a funny story about you. It was like the first month there, and all of a sudden my phone rings, and like I had left Wilmington, I'm in Richmond, and I get a call from Joy. And I used to get calls a lot from like Brookman.
Oh, Maddie. Yeah. And Jaddock and all those guys.
Like Chris, they would all call me and like prank me during my office job. And Joy, one time, I feel like you were like driving through Virginia and you called me and you were like, Lass, like I'm lost in Virginia. And I need directions. And I was like, Joy, I have no idea where you are, but I have a job. And you were like, I'm so happy for you. Like, you were so sweet. But it was like Virginia. And so you just gave me a call. Like maybe I would know, where to go.
What a space cadet. That's so fun. That is but also like how telling that we get so used to our PA. We lean on our PAs for everything in every way that like, I'm literally not even on set. I'm lost in Virginia. And I'm like, Lassiter can help me. That is the bad cliche of every actress in every 90s movie.
I was so touched. I thought it was so sweet. And I didn't know how to help because I didn't know where you were.
Oh, I know. I remember being lost in Richmond, Virginia, and that makes sense to me. That's why I would have called you too.
Yeah.
I know. Well, we should have had coffee.
We
if I had been able to find my way to you.
I feel so bad that I couldn't help.
My funny story with Lassiter is that I remember being on set the day that we were shooting on the football field with James, and we had the picnic blanket, and the sprinklers went off, and it was like all this. And Karen had a thing on the football field too.
Yeah,
but. Sophia and I were trying to get to, there was some kind of PA, everybody was on their walkie, like, Sophia, you weren't in that scene. What was going on? There was for some reason we were in the football field. Maybe it was me and James, or somebody was like, it was like $5 on Joy, $5 on James, like who's going to get to set first. And you were standing by the craft service table, and we were all like on our way walking to set. And I was like, ooh, tea. And I turned and I walked into the craft trailer, and I heard you just get on your walk and you're like, Joy stopped at Crafty. Joy stopped at Crafty.
I just won $5.
Yeah.
That's right. You guys had like a whole horse race going. It was so funny.
Oh, it's so fun.
One of the many wonderful fun moments with you.
Oh my gosh. Well, so many fun moments. I know. I feel like I need more than an hour. So, all right. Again, closing the loop, got into post-production. And I knew like we were doing ADR. and we were recording, we were doing voiceover stuff for commercials at this advertising agency in Richmond. And I just I knew all the aspects of production.
Yeah.
I knew, what was going on set, time is money, how to deal with talent. Just, I learned so much at such a young age about the industry, and just the inner workings of everything. So then I got into production for a little bit, and then I started at the Martin Agency, which is in Richmond. It's like a national advertising agency. We do all the Geico.
Fun.
Right now.
Nice.
Yeah. Soph, I remember running into you were we at the Bowery Hotel? Remember, in New York?
Yes.
You were with Sam Barry from Glamour. Yeah.
Yeah, my sweet friend Sam.
Yeah, she's doing so well, by the way. She's crushing it at Glamour. She ran into you. I was there editing some, I think it was Discover Card or maybe Midas.
That's it. You
something.
You learn to deal with our little nasty egos in our early 20s, and now you're like, now I can handle the big boys. Now I can handle the big brands.
You guys did not have nasty egos.
I did. I'm not ashamed. I still do. I'm a nasty little narcissist. No, I mean it is a good skill set to learn how to navigate people's wants and needs, and it's not something they tell you in college. It's not a class you can take. On-set experience is everything.
Is key.
Yeah.
And now, so my current job, I'm a writer, senior writer at Martin. So I do, I write commercials. And it's really fun.
Do you need spokes, ladies?
Yeah, that's right.
Guys, I'm currently working on Old Navy, and we are the fashion destination.
Hello.
Girl, you give me a pair of overalls, I'm in.
I love it.
Advertising is totally the job I always said I would go into if I wasn't. People are like, if you weren't an actor, what would you do? Always said advertising. I love that you're doing that. It looks so fun.
It's really fun. So I went kind of from the production side to now I'm the creative side. And it's really kind of fun is getting to sit in Video Village and have PAs bring me coffee.
I love it. You are Peyton Sawyer, because in the episode where she's in that moment with her boss where she's like, I will have your job one day, but not like that. You did it, Lassiter. It's
really fun. It's fun. I love writing and I love the creative process. I mean, I know you guys all do. And I didn't, I don't know. I took a windy path to get here, but I'm loving it. We've got I've got a big campaign coming out in the fall for Old Navy, and it's really fun. I get to I get to be, I've got two wonderful kids, and two little boys, 9 and 6.
You still in Richmond?
I'm still in Richmond,
Great.
But every once in twice a year, I go to LA to shoot, spots for about 10 days. And so I still get that taste of, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of the, I don't know, best of both worlds.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people who do want to come in at entry level in film and come in and be a PA? I would love to just, because you were so good at it, and there are so many people who get in and they get frustrated, or they feel like it's, I don't know if it's too demanding, or they have trouble keeping track of everything.
Yeah.
What are some of the most practical pieces of advice that you can give? And even emotional?
Well, emotional, I mean, stay grounded. This is not your, it's hard, especially, and you guys know, episodic stuff. I mean, I was there, my days were 18 hours. First one in, last one out. And it's hard not to get sucked into that grind, which, admittedly I did. My department was who I hung out with. But I'd say, just stay grounded, keep your family close, and keep perspective. But also, it's funny, I say that, but also go for it. It's hard to break into it, but when you do, I don't know how different it is for people now. If that makes sense. I feel like I did it so long ago. I feel like it's easier to get a PA job maybe somewhere, but take it seriously.
Yeah, I think the work ethic has changed a lot now.
Yes.
Than it used to be.
I mean, take it seriously. Keep that work ethic and be a sponge. Like that was my whole thing, was to just be a sponge. You know, I was watching y'all. I was watching the directors. I was watching the grips and the electrician and the camera, the camera department. I was watching everyone.
Didn't they try to steal you? I feel like camera tried to steal you at a certain point.
Ooh, that feels familiar.
Yeah.
Well, wardrobe stole me season 6. I was like kind of burnt out, and then I was like helping wardrobe and
Yeah, Carol, that makes sense.
yes, it was Carol.
I love that.
Guys,
I have to jump off early. Lassiter, it's so good to see you. Enjoy the rest of your chat. I loved this episode, and it's just really great to see you and hear that you're doing well and reminisce.
I know. It's good to see you, Joy.
My honorable mention goes to set deck on this episode for the mouth and skills apartment. Looks
the
so
apartment.
good.
The frat apartment.
The frat apartment looks so good.
So good.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Lassiter, did you notice that? We joked about how the boys' like frat house apartment looked so good.
That like this end up furniture.
Yeah.
That like old 90s, like the wood.
Yes, it was like dorm furniture. But then Brooke's apartment, which is supposed to be super fancy, is like, what did you say? It looked like Pier 1?
I said it looks like Pier 1 after a clearance sale. There's just like a couple of random leather chairs left that nobody wanted. I was like, oh man, they had a really hardcore skill set, and then there was this other avenue that just didn't work.
They knew we were never going back there.
Oh my gosh. Well, y'all, I did watch the episode. I took some notes.
Ooh, okay.
What popped to you?
Like, y'all don't have to talk about me. I'm boring.
Listen, no, you're not boring. But what we talked about before you jumped on was how meta this episode was, because we did this 5-year time jump. So we're not in high school anymore. And essentially we're all just playing ourselves. Like you and I have both seen Sophia do that same walk and talk that Brooke Davis does with her assistant Millicent, where it's like, and we need to do this and this and this, and also make this phone call. And also I have to be here, here, and here. And what do you need from me? Okay, fantastic. Here's the decision. I've seen you do it so many times because it's always kind and really thorough.
Oh, I mean, I can see her walking through, through base camp doing that.
Yeah.
And then you guys, all of the new people in this episode. I know. Michaela.
Michaela is a goddess.
Oh my gosh. She and I still DM. Like, she is the nicest person.
Yeah.
She's incredible. And Michaela, Lisa Goldstein, getting Daphne Zuniga.
Yes, Daphne.
Oh, remember how scared we were of Daphne, Lassiter? I was terrified of her.
You were. I was terrified. I was like, Spaceballs, anyone?
Yeah.
Like, nope, jokes are not hitting. I'm out.
I just remember when Daphne first came, being like, they're going to do it again. All I did for first season was walk around behind Moira and be like, don't say toe pick, don't say toe pick, don't say toe pick, don't say toe pick. And now you're Princess Vespa?
Yeah.
And I can't say that to her? Oh my God. I was so nervous.
Yeah.
Well, I was loving, there was, it was interesting. The season 4 season finale was so wonderful. And like, I have physical, like visceral memories of that, like being on the river court. First of all, when I watch that, all I can think about is hair. I can feel the humidity.
We were all just like wet.
Yeah. By the way, you can see it. I do that thing, like I'm hugging Joy and then I'm like, we're not going to do this. And I'm literally peeling hair off my wet face. And I was like, it's not cute, but we're doing what we can.
When I watch it, you guys remember the scripts and stuff, but we would just get the sides and, I didn't really know what was going on in the story. I'm just paying attention to my own job. But like the episodes when I went back and watched this one and the elevator one, I was like, ding. All I think about are the locations. Like I know exactly where every single thing was shot.
Yeah.
And I think about where I was standing, if I was hiding behind a tree, if I was like crouched, beneath something. But but this one was fun. There was, coming back at season 5, there were a lot of new locations. And I thought it was interesting, I don't know, just the way that the women were handled. Looking back, it is funny. Like, I think it's great for the show and it was really entertaining, but 4 years out of high school, for Soph to be running I'm like, 4 years out of high school, I was a set PA on One Tree Hill.
and that was considered killing it. You know what I mean? It's like, that was success. It's, I think what happened was there was a revolt at the end of season 4 where I personally was like, stop touching us, and had that interaction with our boss. Sophia was like, I don't want to be trapped here. I want my career to expand. That is important to me. And so all of those things that we had discussed in season 4 were somehow made our tragedies at the beginning of season 5 for our characters.
I picked up on that. I really did. And I've never thought about that before.
And Joy just wanted to be with her family. So it's like, okay, let's start the season with a broken family for Haley, it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really interesting. And it wasn't lost on me. Like, while Brooke and Peyton are having different experiences, they're both feeling let down by and trapped by work. And we had that interaction with our boss at the end of season 4. And so our storylines became, you're not happy here. You can't just play the game. You have everything you ever wanted and you don't like it. You're selfish. You don't know how the business works. You're going to have to grow up and figure out what an industry is. Like, we were both getting this thing.
Unbutton that button.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smile on the red carpet. Don't say it's hard. Unbutton that button and I'll let you in another meeting. All of it was like, ew. But what I appreciated, at least for the audience.
Yeah, they didn't have to know any of that. They just saw girls rising above it.
Yeah. And so interestingly, they got to see a girl who wasn't getting everything she wanted out of her career and wasn't happy, and a girl who theoretically was getting everything she wanted out of her career and still wasn't happy. And what I loved, probably some of the cool women in the room who helped that dichotomy happen, enabled the space to open up where all we really needed was each other.
Yeah.
And Lassiter, in the last episode, we talked about how Hilarie and I really were able to find a safety together, despite the ways that the powers that be had tried to make sure we didn't stay friends. We had found something in the last episode, in the finale, as us. And so it's so interesting. It made me kind of weepy watching this episode, when it's like, well, all we really needed was to be together, because when we're together, we're safe.
Yeah.
When we're together, we're happy. When we're home, we're okay. And I don't know. That made me smile despite the window dressing.
Yeah. I really love that moment in the airport.
Yeah.
It made me cry.
Well, have you ever seen on the internet, Lassiter, all of the fan videos that get cut together about Peyton and Brooke being the love story? This airport scene is 100% in every single one of those videos.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about the belt, Hilarie?
Which belt?
The low slung belt. You know what I'm talking about. Sophie.
Yeah.
Did you like that, Lassiter? I feel like that was a page out of your book. You were the queen of like a strapless dress, or like a strapless shirt with a low slung belt out on the town with some bangle bracelets pushed up on your arm.
Bangle bracelets pushed up.
Oh, yeah.
Stealing all of your vibes in this episode.
Yeah, those are my vibes for sure. Yeah, I loved that. And it's so funny, for anyone who's interested in the location production aspect of it. That's the real Wilmington Airport.
Oh, yeah.
We were able to shoot there because it's so small that they would literally be like, sure, let's just stop all flights in.
Well, or it would be like, well, the last flight today lands at 6:45. So y'all want to come at 8 p.m.? And we'd be like, what? You couldn't do it anywhere else.
Yeah, sitting in the rocking chairs between scenes.
Did you go on the LA trip with us?
No, and I noticed that. So that's one of the, I'm glad you called that out. That was one of the only times. So you and Sophia have some exterior shots in LA?
Just Hill.
No.
Well, that's a good fake then for you.
My stuff's all supposed to be happening in New York, but we did it in Wilmington because there's buildings there that you can kind of fake for New York City. So Hill, you were the only one who traveled.
It was a weird trip, because I was in this like super weird place with our boss. And then I was like, great, now you have to come to me. And I was like, ugh. And so I think I just hid out with Elizabeth Arnois and probably Danielle. Like we just were like, okay, peace later.
Well, because you guys went and did it as a second unit.
It was a small skeleton crew that went to go do it.
Yeah, because we were still filming. Like I remember when you were doing stuff in LA, we did like a full day. I think you were with me, Lassiter. We did a full day of photo shoots for Clothes Over Bros stuff, for magazines and art and billboards. And so like while you guys had the director, we were doing all the second unit in Wilmington.
See, you were doing advertising before you were even doing advertising.
I remember the photo shoot. Yes. Because see, when I'm watching, I'm looking at all the background. I'm like, I remember that extra. I remember that photo shoot. Like, woo, I remember
so
being,
funny.
I had I was having a rough day that day, or, I'm hiding in this tree. Like that's all.
What was your favorite episode to film?
Yeah.
So good question. And it's sort of a love-hate relationship, but honestly, one of my favorite ones, because I think I have so many memories from, was the season 4 season finale.
Yeah.
Because that was all night shoots.
Yes.
So that was 7 days of night shoots. And that was my first experience with a full vampire lifestyle. I remember Dacius gave me Duvetine or whatever to black out my windows.
Yeah.
We shot, we went to work at 6 p.m. We came home at 6 a.m.
Do you remember going to the Wilmingtonian and hanging out in Liz's room and drinking beers after?
I do.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. But that was one of my favorite episodes because I think we had a great cast. We had everybody. We had Bevan,
yeah,
who I love and miss so much. It was just, we had everybody. There was it's great. Those big episodes are really fun when, again, I'm not reading the scripts. I don't know what's going on, but I know that all my favorite people are there and they're all on the call sheet. And I know it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of memories from that particular episode.
And did they tell you guys anything as a crew what this 5-year time jump was going to be?
No, we don't get any of that information.
What a weird first day where you're like, why aren't you guys in college?
Well, I just remember, yes, I remember saying, did no one go to college?
Right.
Like, should anyone have gone to get their BA?
Right.
I don't know. So I was never really, we got the sides, we got what we're shooting that day, and that was it. So I was never aware of the full story of anything. And again, we're just flying by the seat of our pants, trying to get the scene and move on to the next one. Like, we got to wrap that crane, guys. Time is money.
Okay, so something so funny happened last night before you jumped on the Zoom when me and Hill and Joy were watching the episode, and Peyton starts to listen to the audio book of Lucas's book on a CD.
5-disc changer.
Joy goes, "Is his book an autobiography? Did he write about us?" And we were like, "Joy, oh my God, the whole book is about all of us." And she goes, "Oh, I missed that."
No idea. No idea.
So it's just so funny when you're like, we have no idea what's going on. I'm like, well, clearly half the time, neither do we.
No, well, that's so funny. Like, yeah, I never had any idea what was going on.
It's so funny.
But I just knew I had to stand up and not sit down.
Yeah.
And get everybody to set. And I will say, one of my favorite themes of this podcast has been the hair. I mean, that was my life.
Yes.
That meant 2 extra hours of sleep for me or not.
Oh my God.
Of how early I had to be there, depending on what, who's coming in first and who's getting their hair done. And
if they just let us wear fucking ponytails, we all would have been like functional humans.
It would have just been easier for everybody.
We're going to write a new show called Ponytails, and Lassiter can come out of her film retirement and
dry
direct
shampoo.
that.
Yeah. Dry shampoo and ponies.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I'm
it.
excited to see what happens with all of our characters over the course of this season, because the 5-year jump meant that all the reservations that we had playing high school kids are out the window, and now we can play messy young adults. And yeah, we do get messy. God, I love messy.
You do get a little messy. I remember some messy episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all the new, I mean, just the new people coming in. I just remember that start of season 5 was really fun, because there were new faces.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone was so nice.
Do you see how cute that dude that Sophia was acting? One of the Knicks, the guy that was in the limo?
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, I do remember shooting that, Sophia, that exterior. I was like,
You're like, hello.
Lassiter was definitely one of us, because anytime like someone new came in, we're all like, hey, do you want to be our friend? Do you want to hang out with our group? Do you want to go to Deluxe? What do you want to do?
oh my gosh. Well, the scene, Hilarie, do you remember? And Sophia, I think you and I definitely were there at some point, but the scene where Nathan has his accident.
Pravda.
Yeah.
Was that what it was called? Pravda?
Yes.
I don't remember. The vodka bar.
Yes, Pravda.
Yes. So that was a real
Wow.
place in Wilmington. They didn't redress that.
No.
I mean, I remember all those red lights, and like that was like a new hip spot for a little while.
It was Pravda and Odessa.
Yeah, my friend Steph used to bartend there. Stephanie the Party Panther.
Yeah.
So like we'd go there, and I think I almost feel like I might have been out that night and been like, oh, what are you guys doing here?
I'm like on a walkie, like,
They're like, I guess I'm not going to go see Stephanie tonight. See you later.
I love
it
it.
was fun. We were in our 20s. I'm just glad I didn't have any friends when I moved to Wilmington, because I moved there for the job.
But you made friends so fast.
Well, I mean, we worked together. Yeah.
We have all placed our vote on how we felt about James Lafferty's long hair and beard in this episode. What were your feelings on it?
Well, I have written down in my notes, beard, took forever to put on. I don't mind the long hair. I just have like really a visceral reaction to the beard, because I know how long it took to put on in the hair and makeup trailer. Yeah.
Well, I have a visceral reaction to it now, because James came on the podcast and told us they cut his hair and then used the cuttings from his hair and glued them to his face.
Yes, they
to
did.
make the beard.
Yes, they did, Sophia.
No, like when I look at when he first came on camera, I was like, nope, because I feel like he just stuck his face in a bowl of his own hair. It's like it's a visual. I can't get rid of it. And what a trooper he is that he did a whole episode with that glued to his face.
Yeah.
Oof. No.
So I was there in the hair and makeup trailer, and it was like a handful of like cut hair. And it was like like this.
Yuck.
I mean, it was so bizarre.
Oh my God.
But I just chalk it up to a learning experience.
I gotta pull my shoulders out of my ears.
Yeah. When Chad and Lindsay are hugging at the end, and you see Chad's tattoo.
Oh,
Lucas's tattoo.
Yeah.
I remember that they got pretty fast with that, but like that was painted on.
Yeah. Well, and that was always tricky, because they were covering his real tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just like fake tattoo going on clean skin. Like,
right.
You have to put the fake tattoo over the scar from the other. Like, that's not easy for anybody. I remember what a pain in the ass that always was.
Yeah. I mean, it was always, we just built it into the schedule, and that's part of being in the AD department. You have to account for all that stuff, and, just get everybody to set on time. And,
well, and we all loved working with Jackson, because it meant that our days were significantly shorter. Like, that was literally the one thing that you couldn't push, is how long the child worked. And so kid days were great days, because they had to be contained. And I love how Chad was with Jackson in these scenes. It's fun to see him be Uncle Keith, and to be able to imagine what that relationship looked like.
Yeah.
He was good. You all were I feel like everyone, Jackson was a sweet, sweet kid. And you all were all good with him. And there's a line though that I had, like, it totally triggered something when he says shoe money, daddy, or money from a shoe. In this episode. And all of a sudden I was right back there because I was hiding around the corner, feeding him that line. Money from a shoe. And I love kids. And, I just remember I loved having kids on set because, for the first 4 years, we didn't have a lot of kids on set. And, I think I might've babysat for Moira. But I babysat for a lot of the crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we would go to, didn't you dress up as a Disney princess for like one of Jadek's kids' birthdays or something?
I might have. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love kids. I'm the oldest of 4. I just loved having a youngster on set. So I'm hiding around the corner and I remember saying, money from a shoe, money from a shoe, money from a shoe.
From a shoe.
And so as soon as I heard that line, I was like, oh my gosh, it just took me back.
That's so sweet.
I love it. Lassiter. All right. Well, here's what I want to have happen. I want our kids to grow up and graduate high school. And then I want you to come direct. And I want you to flex that muscle because you are so incredibly good at your job. And you were such a asset to our crew. And not just for our department, but I know that the Grips and Electrics loved you. We know that Wardrobe loved you. We know that all the departments responded to you because you never bullied anyone. You operated out of kindness, and it set a tone that was really important within that department specifically.
Yeah, it was an all male department.
Mm-hmm.
It was, it got competitive too. I mean, I wanted to be well liked and do my job well. And you got to have a strong work ethic there.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say you have to have, a really strong backbone. I feel like I did back then, but nowadays I hope that people don't have to have that anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think what's really refreshing and what changes culture is when someone like you is in a department like that and it's gone from a department that could, have some serious bully energy to a department that is being shifted by a woman and being given a new way to operate. And, Hilarie said it. The reason every department tried to poach you was because you made people better. And you also were kind while you did it. And when you are in an environment where you have complex uses of power happening,
dynamics,
it can be really gorgeous to have somebody offer you a new way. And, they say that the fish rots from the head, right? Like if the head of the thing is bad, it trickles down. Well, it's the reason we want women like you and friends like you to come and direct on projects because you get to set the tone for every department. And I'll sign up for the Lassiter show. You don't even have to have a script yet. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, we're just all going to wear ponytails. It's going to be really short in the morning. Yeah.
Dry shampoo and ponytails. Well, let me finish this campaign and then I'm telling you, I'm writing a Hallmark movie, I swear.
I mean, girl, let's just do some nice things. Just kissing and crying is all we know how to do.
Let's keep it at kissing and crying. That's it.
Great.
Gentle. We love gentle.
Great.
Are we ready to spin a wheel? Is that where we're at in our day?
I think we are.
Yeah.
Great.
I think we spin a wheel.
Did you participate in Superlatives when you were in high school?
Of course.
What did you win? What are you?
Hilarie, I feel like you will get a really big kick out of this. I went to an all-girls high school.
Me too.
Yes, I know. Yeah, Sophia, I did know that about you. I won the first annual BMC award, which is Big Man on Campus. I knew you would like that.
Is that big dick energy? You got big dick energy. Oh, we call it Brooke Davis energy.
We do.
Well, I was very athletic.
I Love that.
Incredible.
So I was a jock, for sure.
Incredible, Lassiter.
Girl.
Big man on campus, girls.
Well, then I'm going to leave this up to you. Our most likely to this week is most likely to bungee jump. You have to pick a real life person. Our real life One Tree Hillers. It is not me. I don't do dumb shit. I mean, I don't take risks. That is not for me.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay. I'll say character. I feel like Rachel, Danielle's character.
I was going to say it too.
And I forget, it's funny, I forget the characters' names too. I just know her as Danielle. I forget it's Rachel. So Rachel would be my character that would most likely to bungee jump. Real person to most likely bungee jump.
By the way, you know everybody. You can pick somebody from the cast or the crew.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, part of me, I almost spit out Alex.
Alex Osterpay? Yeah. We have to get Alex on the show at some point. So Alex is the total opposite of Lassiter, but they had the same job. And so he was like a bearded, very disgruntled man who was so irritated anytime we asked for coffee or anything. And he's also our age. And so he was like, it was like a brother.
A little bit younger.
He's maybe a little bit, but it was like having a brother that was just like, you guys are ridiculous all the time.
Lassiter, stop it.
Incredible.
One of y'all. Yeah, I feel like Danielle would do it, but Rachel would. Sophia, would you maybe do it?
She's done it.
Oh, have you? I haven't. I'm too scared.
Here's the thing. I take risks, but also I don't want to do dumb risks. And bungee jumping to me looks like a great way to break your neck.
Yeah.
I skydive, which I know is perhaps more dangerous, but like it's the whiplash for me that makes me say no to bungee jumping. So I don't know. If they're adjacent enough, fine, but I don't know.
Bungee adjacent?
Bungee adjacent.
I don't trust that I'm not going to whip back up and hit the bottom of the bridge. You know what I mean?
I know. Like, I've never been.
I don't understand the physics of it.
Maybe one of the boys. Maybe James. He's like in shape.
Yeah.
No, it's Austin. It's Austin Nichols. That's who it is.
You're right. 100%.
It's got to be somebody like in shape and active.
It just occurred to me. Austin is also doing all sorts of weird shit, like water skiing and driving around in a van.
Water skiing so weird, Hilarie.
It is to me. I don't do water.
No, he loves all that sports stuff. And he's also, you're right. Like, I get where you're going with it, Lassiter, is that you need a guy who's like fit enough that he thinks he's invincible.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Poor
and
choices
Austin's the kind of person who's just like, we can do it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It would be him.
Yeah. All right. Austin
I
wins
love it.
that.
By the way, maybe I missed it in other episodes. I thought it was really funny. I've never thought about Junk.
Yes.
Junk on the show.
Cullen.
Yeah, Cullen, who's crushing it, the nicest person.
Yes.
This episode was the first time I had ever heard anyone call him Junkie.
What?
Yeah.
Who called him Junkie?
I think it might have been it was like Uncle Junkie.
Oh,
like when they were playing the video games. And I was like, should we call him Junkie?
Junkie.
I don't know.
I mean, that would explain why he was like a 25-year-old senior in high school.
Maybe he was a junkie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But you know what? I think, yes, he and Vaughn having dialogue, you know, like Vaughn hasn't gotten to talk a whole lot in the show. And Vaughn is hilarious.
Hilarious.
Good honorable mention.
So funny.
I love those River Corps boys. And honestly, like for me, Michaela.
Yeah.
Talk about coming in like a powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
She has such good energy. She's so in her body. Who after 4 years do the fans think is going to compete for Lucas's attention? Aside from Peyton, like literally who but you, Hilarie. And Michaela came in and was just like, me.
Mine.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. She's such a G.
But still kind. Like she's she's such a kind person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I loved working with her.
Yeah.
She was really sweet.
You guys. All right, Lassiter, we've got big plans for your future.
Oh
But
my gosh. Well, and Hilarie, if I have to apologize for texting you from that bachelorette party.
Oh my God.
What?
We're still on drunk text level, which is like,
oh my God.
you know what? That's my favorite line of Peyton's in this episode. I want real friends. And so it feels really good to have you here, Lassiter, because we get to go back to that place where like our off camera, off work friendships really were the things keeping us going. And so I love the fact that you still drunk text me at a bachelorette party.
For the record, I wasn't that drunk. It was my I said I'm the oldest of 4. It's my little sister Anna's bachelorette.
Girl, I'm there. I'm mad I wasn't invited on that party, Buzz.
Her friends are your key demographic for One Tree Hill.
Done.
They're the age. They're like 29.
I love it.
I was trying to be a cool older sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why weren't you just FaceTiming everybody, babe? Really really get in it to win it.
Tried. Well, I know. Well, Anne Crenshaw is your biggest fan. She was one of the bridesmaids, and she was like, "What is Hilarie doing right now?"
Right now.
Right now.
But I'm gonna call her.
Incredible.
Oh, you guys, I love you. Okay, for you guys at home, next week we have season 5, episode 2, Racing Like a Pro. It's about to get crazy. All right.
Here we go.
Have a great week. I love you, Lassiter.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Don't forget to leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at DramaQueensOTH.
Or email us at dramaqueens@iHeartRadio.com.
See you next time.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.